I wanted to talk today about the concept of the VeloVetta cycling triathlon shoe, how it came about, what the design process was, and just generally how it works. This was way back in 2018, and I was noticing that a lot of people were spending a lot of money to buy a bunch of different cycling shoes and take them to the wind tunnel and test them all out and figure out which shoe happened to fit them and be more aerodynamic for them than the other shoes. And I thought, wow, people really want a shoe that is a high performance, good cycling shoe that also helps them go a little bit faster by reducing drag. And I hadn't noticed anyone who had gone and done a real analytical, methodical design process to try to make a shoe aerodynamic on purpose. So I thought, let's give it a go and see if it works. And so what I wanted to do was design a really good shoe that fit really well and reduced drag and made you faster. I didn't want to compromise other aspects of the design of the shoe just to make it faster. And so I started playing around with computational fluid dynamics simulations on my computer. And I rapidly realized that my home PC was completely inadequate for doing any kind of CFD simulations that give you results you can trust. So I dramatically upgraded my computer equipment and then started playing around with designs. And at first, it was a bit frustrating. I first started out just by sort of attaching a rounded part just to the bottom of the sole and attaching a place just back to the back of the heel, and the results weren't really looking that good. And I was testing it in the simulations both flat and toe down and really toe down, because these are the different angles that you have while you're going through your pedaling motion. And so what I realized was that the airflow was separating way up higher on the shoe than I had guessed it might be. And what I needed to do is try to figure out some way to delay that. And so we went through just lots and lots and lots of iterations of changing exactly where, you can see it better on the white shoe, where this part intersects the shoe on either side, exactly what shape it is, exactly what angle it comes off this way, how far down below the heel it goes, to try to make a shoe that gives you a benefit, but it is also still a practical, not crazy shape. And we compared it against, in all of our simulations, a shoe of exactly the same last, or the shape of the shoe, the width, the shape, everything was exactly the same. And then the only difference was this part that we're adding to it here, and a little bit about the part of the sole up forward as well. We did more of a conventional sole. You'll find this one is a little bit smoother and more rounded than you'll find on a conventional shoe. And eventually, I started seeing some good results. And then it started being time to try to find a manufacturer. I had no idea how to make shoes. No idea at all. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have experience making things out of metal. These weird organic shapes and making things out of plastic or material, soft material is something that was completely new to me. And then also to start testing this closure mechanism of the shoe. The closure mechanism, I wanted it to be really good and secure, but I also wanted it to be really fast to get into. You have it open, it's ready to go, you put your foot in, you close the lever, off you go. So the idea was to remove the closure mechanism from where it usually is on the front of the shoe, not only to improve aerodynamics, but also to employ this idea I had that was inspired by a ski boot buckle. And it's on the back of the shoe, and it's what's called an over-center mechanism. And when you open the lever up, there's wires that go from the lever through the sole of the shoe up to the side, and that helps release them and helps you get your foot in the shoe, and then close the lever and you're good to go. And one of the things ski boot buckles do is you adjust the tightening by twisting them on this little screw thing. And so I added a little dial with the attachment to the wires on a screw, and when you turn this dial, it turns the screw, and it either tightens or loosens the wires. And so that was the inspiration for the design of the buckle on the back of the shoe. And so to help me figure out how to make shoes, locally there was a guy here who used to be head of footwear for Pearl Izumi, and had him join me as a consultant to basically teach me how to make shoes, what this process was all about, and to start talking to factories. Long story short, we ended up selecting a factory in Italy, in Treviso, in the same area that all the famous Italian sporting footwear brands are based. So you have, in the cycling world, you have CD there, you have Gaerne there. In the mountaineering, hiking world, you have La Sportiva and Scarpa and Solo are all based there. And so there's really a great, rich tradition of making sporting shoes in this region of Italy. And so we selected this factory and got on to making prototypes. And we went through a lot of different prototypes, both like trying to adjust this shape from what I had originally designed on my computer to something that was a little bit more manufacturable, going through a lot of different iterations on the upper design to find something that was really sleek and good looking and easy to use. And then started road testing it. I've been doing all my riding for the last 4 years or so in various prototypes of what ultimately became this shoe. And then once we started to be pretty happy with where the design was, we went to the wind tunnel, the A2 wind tunnel in North Carolina, and tested it to say, hey, do the real world results pan out based on the simulation results? And, I knew going in that the results in the wind tunnel are really going to be dependent a lot on the rider's pedaling style. It's going to be dependent on the rider's foot shape, how well the shoe fits the rider versus the other shoes you're testing it against. There's really a lot of variables. So I wasn't sure how it was going to come out. And the other thing is, all of the simulations that I ran were not of this shoe versus some other shoe. It was the same basic shoe shape, which was the shoe that I wanted to make against itself, but with sort of the aero add-ons put on there. And so we tested it against 3 other models of shoes, and it came out great. So we were really excited and started the very laborious process of getting ready for manufacturing. It's hard to overstate how many different factories are involved, and luckily they're all in this little area of Italy. So you've got the mold maker for the plastic parts, you have the mold maker for the carbon fiber parts, you have the graphics printing guy, you have the upper sewing company, you have the main factory that does what's called the lasting of the shoe and gluing everything together and assembling all the parts. You have another factory that attaches all the wires. There was a lot of different parts that have to come together. So that was all happening during COVID, and everybody was shut down for a really long time. But eventually, just a few months ago, we finally made it to market. And this is the final product. We have two colors. There's the white with the silver falcon on it, and there's black with, it's probably hard to see, with a shiny black falcon on the toe. The closure mechanism really gives you some unique abilities that you don't have with other shoes, like having ventilation all the way up the front of the shoe, and then this elastic on the side is also just mesh. So this is a really well ventilated shoe. You can make a shoe more aero by eliminating the ventilation. I didn't want to do that. You know, I wanted people to be able to do long road rides, long TTs, long triathlons, and have their feet stay comfortable. So this is not just, you know, get on your bike and do a 10-minute effort or a 20-minute effort and you're done. You know, you can ride all day in this shoe. The carbon sole, we did finite element analysis, which is a way to simulate the stress and deformation of a material in a computer to see how stiff is this thing, how much is it going to bend when a rider is putting 1,000 watts into the pedal, when a rider is putting 1,500 watts in the pedal. Can you give this to a track cyclist, and is it going to be stiff enough? We found that even if you're putting well north of 1,000 watts into your pedals, this thing is basically not going to move at all. It is rock solid. A shoe that takes aerodynamics into the design process from the very beginning, and still delivers a really high performance, high quality experience in your cycling or triathlon ride.